My story started back when I was the age of 9 living in Oshawa, Ontario. Back when I was 9 years old, I had issues with comprehension and learning how to understand information. It was always an issue for me growing up as a kid. I always needed to reach out for assistance in this field. Um, I felt that the best way that I comprehended information at the time, because I didn't understand that information, was by physical touch and by relating to my parents in that way, by looking at them and describing what I want, because I wasn't able to understand and comprehend English as well, just because the development at that time for me was very difficult. And I'm still trying to overcome it. And I believe I have overcame it today. As you see that I am speaking fluently. So I think it was just at the time where there was a delay in this. And I believe that I overcame this issue. And I'm very proud that I did. However, at the time, it was very difficult. And when growing up as a kid, when I was the age of 9, there was this neighbor that lived across the street from me, and this neighbor was the abuser to my story. And so he was a foster child that was adopted through my mother's friend at the time. And we got introduced when I was the age of 9, and this person was approximately the age of 15, I'd say. He started off being a normal kid. He was a great kid. He was in cadets. Everyone seemed to respect him, seemed to be trustworthy, well disciplined, but not a lot of people really talked about his background or where he came from. Not a lot of people wanted to hear about his story. I never even understood his story, or my mother never really heard or understood the story either. And so, over the years of me living in this neighborhood with my abuser and such, and getting to know this person for several years, because my parents would occasionally spend time together, and there would be times where this individual would be over all the time, and we'd be expected to hang out and get along, just because that's the culture of how my family was raised, and that's how it worked growing up as a kid. You just need to learn how to hang out with different people. And at the time, I thought he was cool because he was older than me. So I thought it was easy for me. And he acted like it was cool for him also. There would be times where he would ask me to go to his room and play video games with him. And I trusted him just because I wanted to play video games also, because any kid would want to learn how to play video games, and any person wants to play video games. There'd be times where he'd ask me to go in the basement and watch TV with him and watch these shows with him that are very popular towards kids. And he would try to develop a rapport with me, to the point where I developed this trust for him. And, we became tight, and, he made me feel special. He made me feel that I have a friend that can relate to me. And he manipulated me, and he kind of controlled who I was as an individual. And over time, he developed, I guess, comfortability around me, to the point where when there would be times that my mom, or yeah, both my mom and her friend would want to go out, and they would want to hang out and just do things. So Chris would be babysitting, because I'm 9 years old and he's 15 years old at the time. Right. And, everyone says that it's okay because, yes, he's 15, I'm 9. It makes sense that he babysits, and I liked him and everything. And I thought he was pretty cool. So everyone at the time thought it was okay. But when I was actually hanging out with him, there'd be times where he would then make me put his hands in his pants. And there would be times where he would make me very uncomfortable, to the point where I remember him putting his hand down my pants and making me extremely comfortable. And as a 9-year-old, you don't know what's going on, especially in my situation where I had a lot of issues comprehending what people said, and I can only see what people do. And I thought that was maybe an acceptable behavior, because I was taught that at a young age, and I didn't know what was better at the time. So, however, at the age of 9, like, I just didn't know what to do, because this guy is much bigger than me. He's a bigger threat than me. I didn't know what was actually going on probably at the time, because I discovered this exact story when I was the age of 24. So it's just me going back and trying to correlate exactly everything that happened, right? But when I was in this situation, when he was like babysitting me or where he was watching me for several years, he would have opportunities to sexually assault me. And he sexually assaulted me repetitively throughout the years of ages to 9 to 11, from the ages of grade 4 to the time that I went to grade 6, and I moved from Oshawa, Ontario to Whitby, which is the city over. And I basically grew up the rest of my life in Whitby and then began my other life, right? But when I was younger at the time, from the ages of 9 to 11, this individual would assault me repetitively, multiple times, to the point where I thought it was an acceptable behavior, where he was doing these acts in public areas, where he was doing this in areas that he could take advantage of me in. There was times when we were playing video games and he would just make me obviously do these acts to him that were completely inappropriate, to the point where, a 9-year-old should never experience this form of sexual abuse. It's to the point where I was penetrated and I was bleeding, I was in terror, I was in bruises. And there was times when I came home and my parents didn't even say anything about it. There's times where I wondered what happened to me, right? Like, why didn't somebody notice me, right? And I felt very sexually confused, to the point to even ask for help or to even talk to someone, because at the time, being a male, or if you're trying to be a boy growing up in the world, or whatever I was taught when I was young, was to be tough and to be strong and to not say a word, and just to, you know, just figure it out for yourself, right? So I decided to do this for myself, and I wanted to try to get through this and not be able to tell anyone. And in the long term, it really affected me because it gave me a lot of sexual confusion, to the point where I didn't know what I liked anymore. I didn't really have the choice or the benefit to choose my sexual orientation or to choose what I wanted to have in my lifestyle. I didn't really get the opportunity to really have a voice on what I want, whether if I love a man or whether if I love a woman, right? That was taken away from me by this man for over 2 years. This man repetitively had sex with myself as when I was a child, and he took away my dignity and he took away my freedom on choosing what I wanted with my body, and he took advantage of it. And I understand that there's people that are suffering from this, and it's based on victimization. It's based on a ton of other issues that correlate to this. But I'm just here to explain a story on what happened to myself, because I feel that the story doesn't get shared enough. And I really want to show the world that it is okay to express your problems. It's okay to talk about it and accept the fact that it did happen. Because if you don't accept that it didn't happen, you're not going to get the results on making yourself better. It's just going to delay the process for you, and you're just going to cause a lot more heartache for yourself for a very long time. My sexual abuse did affect me from when I was a child. It affected my entire life. It affected my confidence, to the fact where I was scared of men. I was scared of trying to ask people for help, or to the point where, I was scared of talking to a man because I didn't know what they were going to do to me. Whether if it was a teacher, whether if it was a friend at school, where I try to be friends with people, but I was kind of scared because being in the situation of sexual abuse from a male and not having the freedom to be able to stand up for what you want, being at that young age, you don't know. And there wasn't a lot of education back when I was growing up compared to now on sexual abuse and child abuse, and also about equality and acceptance for those that are gay and for those that aren't gay. And it's been a totally different world in regards to that. And I'm one of these statistics that, people that have a disability in learning, or people that have a disability in general, tend to get more sexually abused than the average person. And I'm one of those people. I'm one of those statistics. I'm one of those people that got involved with something, right? I'm one of the 6 men in Canada that got sexually assaulted, right? And those are only statistics that are reported. Imagine what the statistics would be if it was all reported. And this is child sexual abuse that comes around everywhere, right? Females are affected from this, males are affected from this. But my story for me, I really hope that men can stand up and share their story about their sexual abuse, because for me, I feel that when I was 9 and when I was up to the years of 11, I thought it was an acceptable behavior. I didn't ask for help. I was too scared to ask for help. And I forgot about the entire thing for so many years because I didn't accept it. I just thought, okay, well, whatever. It was just a blank in my life. I forget about it. I go ahead and I live my own life and I go and live my own journey. Right. But then I start having sex at the age of 13 because I don't know what I want. I start going out and being promiscuous from the ages of like 15 and up because I'm sexually confused about my own life and what I like about women. Or do I like women? Do I like men? Do I like anything? And it was a very hard time for me to figure out my sexual orientation, but majority of my time and everything, I've always stayed straight. But however, there were times where I was really scared on what I wanted because I didn't have the opportunity to choose what I wanted. And it did affect me for a very long time in regards to asking for help, because isn't it supposed to be the ones that take care of you or the ones that like set an example for you should be trusted, right? Like I trusted this individual that took care of me because he was an older man and like he was in a teenager, but to me, he's an older person. And I trusted this person to take care of me and love me for who I am as a child and not for my own body. And I feel that there's a lot of people in my position that don't even have the ability to have a voice in this. And I want to be that voice for individuals that are suffering from child sexual abuse because I was one of those people. It affected me and it's going to affect a lot of other people if I don't stand up for this issue. Because for me, I want to try to help people. I want to try to make people understand that it's not okay to be in this position and I'm here to help you and I'm here to try to create those solutions. I That's why I'm doing this whole podcast in the first place, is to really hit home and to make sure that people can listen to what I have to say, and maybe what I have to say can save your life, right? Because I didn't get this help when I was alone. You know what I mean? Nobody came up to me and asked if I wanted help. Nobody came up to me about anything. I never had the assistance or the guidance because of the lack of education, the lack of not accepting certain things because of society and culture back in the day compared to how it is now. It's very different. 10 years ago was very different compared to what it is today. And when I was 9 to 11, it was very bad for men to report issues about their mental health. It was very hard for men to express about their issues and their problems towards loved ones because they had to maintain a certain image or they had to maintain a certain status. But I do feel that being a survivor in this being a survivor in this topic for child sexual abuse for males, I want to try to make people understand that it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to be accepting of your story, because if once you overcome your story, you can get through a lot of success and you can get through a lot of what you want to try to pursue in your life. Because once I overcame this and once I accepted the fact that this did happen to me, I stood up and I realized that, I'm a strong individual for overcoming this. Not a lot of people can. And by me trying to share this story to you, I hope that you can be inspired to stand up for what you love and you can love yourself and get the proper help that you need, right? When I finally accepted the fact that I was sexually assaulted, I went out and I spoke to the right people. I went out and I got psychological help. I went out and I spoke to the people I actually loved, and I changed my lifestyle to benefit my own, because nobody else can do that for you. You have to do that for yourself. And There's nothing wrong about that. You need to be the one to do that because nobody else will.